Hi guys, welcome back to another Hugh Jeffries video, and in this video I'm going to be building and giving away a custom green iPhone 6. I've just reached 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and as a thanks to all my fans, I'm going to be giving you guys the chance to win your very own custom iPhone 6. Coming up. As many of you may already know, I've built many custom iPhones for myself in the past, but after achieving such a huge subscriber milestone here on YouTube, I'm going to be building this custom iPhone 6 64GB just to give away to one lucky viewer. Starting things off, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Riley Mises. Sorry mate if I pronounced your name wrong. Riley donated his old space grey iPhone 6 64GB to me a few months ago. The iPhone is working but has a shattered screen, various marks on the housing, and the battery is in need of replacement. This iPhone will be used as a donor phone to build the custom green phone that we're going to be building in this video. I purchased this housing from eBay, and as you can see, it contains absolutely no internal parts, so everything will need to be transferred from the old phone. So to begin the transformation, I'm going to need to power off the device and start to disassemble it. Opening up the device, I can see a lot of dirt and dust, as well as a red water indicator, which means that there's been water inside this phone at some point. It could just be light moisture, or it could have completely got waterlogged, but from looking at the logic board, it looks to just be very slight water damage. The phone is fully functional, and I've tested every function of the device, and everything was found to be working just fine. Judging from the dirt inside, this phone has been cracked for quite a while, and probably allowed lots of dirt, dust and moisture to get inside the device. Firstly, I'm going to start with the bottom portion of the phone, removing the dock connector, speaker, and vibrate motor, which I'll transfer into the new housing. I have previously made a custom purple iPhone 6. The process for this is quite similar to what I'm going to be doing in this video, but with the exception of I'm going to be using all the parts from this phone rather than purchasing some new. With the iPhone 6 that I built last time, I purchased a new dock connector, new power button, and new volume controls to try and minimize on things that I had to transfer from the old housing. It's an excellent way to save on messing around, but there's still certain parts that you'll need to take out that the housing doesn't have. Removing up the dock connector, it's stuck down quite well, but being careful not to rip that or anything, I can proceed to remove these little brackets that are in the bottom of the phone. Like I said before, if you purchase the dock connector separately, you don't get any of these parts, so if you were to put that into the new housing, things wouldn't line up correctly, so that's why you have to transfer them from the old housing to the new one. This is a very involved process that takes around an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. It sounds like a really long time, but once you do one of these, you'll sort of understand where the time goes. There's a lot of really small parts that you'll need to transfer that you probably didn't even know existed inside of your phone. A lot of the grills, tiny little metal spaces that go on the back of the volume and power buttons, all those pieces take a really long time to get in place, get done properly, and glued down correctly if they require any glue and stuff. It's the big parts like the dock connector, the speaker, the logic board, which doesn't take a lot of time to put in. It's just a couple of screws. It's a nice big component. You don't need to modify it from the old one to make it work on the new one or anything like that. It just works straight out of the box. It's really annoying that these housings don't include all of these bottom parts installed, but I guess they don't want to put those in there for you because that takes their time to do the same thing. I'll have to remove the old battery from the housing to gain access to the volume and mute switch bracket, as well as some of the other brackets on the side of the phone which actually hold the screen in. This phone was manufactured in late 2014 and I think has just over 700 charge cycles. It's about 89% health in the health rating portion of the settings app. I have found that health rating in the settings really means nothing. I brought an iPhone 8, it's on 94% health, but shuts off after about 10 minutes on 100%. I also had an iPhone 6 on 100% with an expanded battery, so definitely don't follow those too much. They're more just a guideline than an actual indication. I'll need to remove the logic board from the iPhone to later transfer across to the new housing. But now I'll have access to this bracket, which actually contains the volume and mute switch. That's glued down, so removing that, I can take that out of the phone. You can see here these are the buttons and SIM tray that are included with the housing, and it doesn't have the little metal spaces on the back. I'll need to pry those up and glue them down into the new buttons, as well as the little grommet that goes around them. Luckily, this actually worked very well and I didn't have to use any super glue like I did on my purple iPhone 6. Now the replacement buttons don't actually use a little metal retaining clip that are found on the original ones, so you don't need to transfer those. I did purchase these replacement buttons brand new from eBay and just use them as a donor button to transfer the correct parts needed over to the green buttons, which will be used in this housing. With the 2 volume buttons and mute switch now functioning, I can start to remove some more components from the old housing. I'm going to be removing these brackets which are along the sides. These help hold in the display, as well as the power button bracket, which I'll need to move across. The power button connects pretty similar to the other 2 volume buttons and screws in just fine. I actually went for a new power button as I was able to get one online, which just saved me a bit of time with removing components from the old frame. Next, I can install these little clips that go along the side, which, like I said before, help hold in the display. With those installed, I can transfer across this little SIM eject mechanism. Next, I can go ahead and begin working on this camera. I'll need to remove its bracket before I'm able to flick out the camera and save that for later on. I'll also need to remove a little metal bracket and this little right angle bracket which helps secure in the logic board. Making sure to transfer the little metal grill that goes underneath the microphone for the rear microphone of the iPhone 6. I can now install the bracket that goes across that, reinstall the camera and its little grounding clip, as well as its main bracket. I also noticed a tiny little bit of corrosion on these connectors here, which connect to the volume controls and power button. I put some cleaning alcohol on that and was able to clean those up beautifully. I assessed the rest of the logic board and found no issues with any corrosion or water damage anywhere else on the board, and I was able to reinstall that logic board back into the housing and begin reinstalling all of the screws and connecting up the connectors back into the logic board. We're almost ready to test out the device, make sure everything's still functioning, but I will have to install the Wi-Fi antenna, otherwise we won't get any Wi-Fi connectivity. There's a lot of screws in this area, so it's very important to organize those out if you are replacing the Wi-Fi antenna or taking out the logic board in an iPhone 6. With those now installed, I can reinstall the bracket covering up those connectors. Screwing in the remaining 2 screws, it's time to test out this phone. I'm connecting up the original display just for now to make sure the phone powers on. Pressing the power button, the device successfully powered on and was functioning just fine. It's time to swap over the display with a new one that's not cracked. This is the iPhone's original display, and I was able to check that using an application on Windows called 3utools. It's actually a very useful app, and there is going to be a Mac version very soon, so I'm waiting out for that. But basically I was able to check the serial numbers for just about every component inside the device and what it was supposed to have from the factory, and it compares it to what's in the device now. It can't actually tell you the LCD one, it just tells you what it would have been from the factory, and you can look on the back of the display to verify that number, and the serial numbers did match, meaning that it is its original display. I will be replacing this with another Apple display. This is a used and previously cracked display that's had its front glass replaced on it, and these are the screens that I use on all of my phones these days because you're going to be getting the best quality that you can out of the display for your iPhone. So I definitely highly recommend these refurbished displays. I can reinstall the camera and everything onto the top of the device, as well as the home button, which is original and has fully functioning Touch ID. With the display now prepped up and ready to go, I can connect it up to the iPhone 6 and start to reassemble the rest of the phone. I can install the brackets for the LCD. I'm also going to apply a little bit of adhesive underneath the power button flex cable, as that was coming up a little bit and wasn't sticking down too well. I've also applied the adhesive for the battery, and I can go ahead and stick that in and install its 2 screws and bracket. Giving the inside of the phone a quick clean up, I can press down the display, install the 2 screws, and fit a tempered glass screen protector, and we're done. So this is it, a custom green and black iPhone 6 64GB running iOS 12.1. If you guys want the chance to win this custom iPhone, make sure to head over to my Instagram, link for which is in the description. This giveaway is international, so as long as I can post an iPhone to your country, you can enter. All you need to do is subscribe and follow Hugh Jeffries on YouTube and Instagram, and make sure to comment on the Instagram post of the iPhone 6 giveaway why you want to win this phone. I'd also like to mention this giveaway is not associated with YouTube, Instagram, or any other company. It's also free to enter, but for a full detailed disclaimer and entry details, you can find those over on my Instagram. The giveaway will end March 31st, 2019, so good luck to everybody who enters. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the custom and modded tech playlist for more videos just like this one. Also, make sure you follow me on my social media for behind the scenes and giveaways just like this one. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.